morning, and welcome to Sunday School for Second Presbyterian Church for March the 28th. My name is Elizabeth Link, and today's story is about the women at the tomb. Dying is a part of the life cycle. Think about the life of a plant, any plant. First comes its birth, the sprouting of a seed. Up out of the soil will come a stem, and leaves will unfurl and soak up sunshine and rainwater. Eventually, that plant will dry up and die. But the death of that life cycle, the story of that plant, is not over. Because out of that dead plant will spring forth seeds that will grow new plants to come up out of the earth, unfurl leaves, and live. The life of Jesus was not over. Jesus had been dead for more than a day. Early in the morning of the third day, Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary, the mother of James, and other women who loved Jesus went to the tomb where he had been taken. They walked sadly and quietly, carrying sweet-smelling spices to place on his body. When they got to the tomb, they were surprised. The stone was rolled away from the cave opening. They looked in, but Jesus was not there. The women were confused and scared. Who had moved Jesus' body? Suddenly, two men in shiny white clothes stood next to them. Afraid, the women turned away. The men said, "This is where the dead are kept. Jesus is not here. He's not dead anymore. He has been raised to life. Remember what he said when you were with him in Galilee? He said that the one sent from God will be taken by those who don't believe in him. This one will be killed. But on the third day, this one from God will rise to life again." The women remembered what Jesus had told them. They ran to the disciples, eager to tell them the good news. "Jesus is alive!" shouted the women. But the disciples didn't believe Mary of Magdala. They didn't believe Joanna. They didn't believe Mary, the mother of James. They didn't believe any of the women. But Peter wasn't sure. He ran to the tomb. When he got there, he looked inside, and this time, the two men in shining white clothes were not there. Peter saw only the cloth that had covered Jesus, but no body. He walked away, wondering if it could be true. Was Jesus really alive? The women were so excited to share the good news about Jesus. How do you sound when you're excited? Do you sing or shout, cheer or clap for joy? The women left the empty tomb filled with joy. Think about what colors bring you joy. Maybe wear those colors today, or create art with those joyful colors. Why is finding an empty tomb good news about Jesus? Share that good news story with someone else today.
Hello, my name is Amanda, and I'm going to read "Twas the Morning of Easter," written by Glenys, Nellist, and illustrated by Elena, Selivanova. He has risen. Matthew 28:6. 'Twas the morning of Easter. Before the sun arose, two guards on a hillside were just trying to doze. You see, Jesus had died only 3 days before. A huge stone had been placed to seal the cave door. The disciples were sleeping, but tossed in their beds as visions of danger swirled round in their heads. Would they be arrested and led away too? Without Jesus, their leader, what would they do? In her small, quiet room, not too far away, Jesus' friend Mary was planning the day. She would go to the cave with perfume and spice in hopes that her gifts would make Jesus smell nice. The sun through the trees was just starting to peep at the guards on the hill who were now fast asleep, when all of a sudden there came an earthquake, and the rocks and the trees all started to shake. The guards jumped in fright, then they fell straight to the floor as the stone rolled away and unsealed the door. Then Mary arrived and crept up to the cave. She had to see Jesus. She had to be brave. But the cave was now empty. He just wasn't there. Mary sat down and wept, and her cries filled the air. But suddenly Mary heard something behind. "Dear woman, who is it that you hope to find?" Mary jumped and turned round, so confused and afraid. Was this man the gardener? And why had he stayed? But the calm in his voice, the words that he said, soon let Mary know she had nothing to dread. "Dear Mary, it's me. It's Jesus, your friend. My story's just starting. This wasn't the end." His eyes, how they twinkled, his smile so bright. Mary knew in a moment, but could she be right? She gasped in surprise and cried, "Jesus, it's you. You came back to life. Your promise came true." Jesus nodded and said, "But there's no time to lose. You must tell the disciples. Go, spread the good news." So she jumped to her feet, and away Mary went. She'd a story to tell, a tale heaven sent. She ran without stopping and called through the door, "Disciples, you've never heard this news before." Now Peter, now James, now Thomas, now John, I went to the cave. Jesus' body was gone. But he called me by name. He's alive, it is true. It's a miracle only our great God could do. Then the trees seemed to dance. Birds started to sing. All creation joined in to worship the King. He's alive, the rocks cried in praise. The whole earth rejoiced on this day of all days. When later that night Mary knelt down to pray, she thought about all that had happened that day, and the stars heard her whisper through soft evening light, "Happy Easter to all, and to all a good night."
Hello everybody, I'm Mrs. Smith and this is our song for Sunday School at Second Presbyterian Church. Here are the words. To Come to Jesus by Chris Rice. Weak and wounded sinner, lost and left to die. Well, raise your head, for love is passing by. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus and live. And when your burden's lifted and carried far away, and precious blood has washed away the stain, come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus and live. Here are our notes. Weak and wounded sinner, lost and left to die. Well, raise your head, for love is passing by. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus and live. And and carried far away. And precious blood has washed away the stain. Then come to Jesus, come to Jesus, come to Jesus and live. Let's put it together. Weak and wounded sinner, lost and left to die. Oh, raise your head, for love is passing by. Come to Jesus, come to Jesus, come to Jesus and live. When your burden's lifted and carried far away, and precious blood has washed away the stain, come to Jesus, come to Jesus, come to Jesus and live. Come to Jesus.